Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder. Today, MI just filed its latest 8K report from its annual meeting, and I am seeing some interesting signals about how the company is run. Quick note, this is not financial advice, just my take on public filings for educational purposes. The company held its yearly shareholder meeting and voted on some key items, including who will be on the board and whether to approve executive pay. Let's dive in. This report covers the annual meeting that took place on the 30th of April 2026. It's where the company's owners, the stockholders, get to weigh in on important decisions. First up, they voted on who will be on the company's board of directors. These are the people who oversee the company's big picture strategy and make sure management is doing its job. Two directors, Norma J. Lawrence and Hessam Nadji, were up for election for a 3-year term. Norma J. Lawrence received a significant number of votes in favour, with 32,149,983 votes. There were also 791,409 votes withheld, meaning some shareholders chose not to vote for her, and 1,969,034 broken non. Votes broken non. Votes happen when a broker holds shares for a client but hasn't received instructions on how to vote. Hessam Nadji also got strong support with 32,751,470 votes for him. He had fewer withheld votes at 189,922 and the same number of broken non-votes as Miss Lawrence, 1,969,034. The fact that both directors were elected with a high number of 4 votes suggests most shareholders are happy with their leadership. It is also worth noting that several other directors will continue serving their terms. Next, shareholders voted to ratify the appointment of Ernst & Young LLP as the company's independent auditors for 2026. This is essentially a confirmation that shareholders approve of the firm that checks the company's financial statements to make sure they're accurate. The vote here was overwhelmingly in favour, with 34,751,572 votes for ratification. Only 156,559 voted against it, and there were a tiny number of abstentions. This strong approval shows confidence in the auditing firm's work. It's interesting that there were 0 broken non votes on this proposal. This is because it was considered a routine matter by the New York Stock Exchange, meaning brokers could vote even if they didn't get direct instructions from their clients. Finally, and this is often a point of interest, shareholders cast an advisory vote on the company's executive compensation. This vote is non-binding, meaning the board doesn't have to follow it, but it gives a clear signal of shareholder sentiment on how much executives are being paid. The shareholders approved the executive compensation with a solid 32,885,983 votes in favour. There were 54,757 votes against, and a very small number of abstentions. However, there were 1,969,034 broken non-votes. The number of against votes and the significant number of broken non-votes suggest that not all shareholders are fully comfortable with the current executive pay structure. Looking at the broader picture, Marcus Millichap Inc., or M.M.I. as it is traded on the New York Stock Exchange, is a real estate services company. With a market cap of around $1.1 billion and 854 employees, it is a significant player in its field. It is interesting to see how institutional investors like BlackRock and Vanguard, who hold substantial stakes, might influence these votes, though their specific voting records are not detailed here. In terms of direction, the strong election results for directors and the ratification of auditors suggest a certain level of stability and trust in the current leadership and their oversight. However, the advisory vote on executive compensation does present a point of discussion. While approved, the number of against votes and broken non-votes hint at underlying investor concerns about executive pay. It's not a red flag yet, but it is something to keep an eye on in future filings. The risk I am watching is whether the concerns signalled by the executive compensation vote will be addressed by the board and lead to any adjustments in future compensation plans. What I am actually looking for is how the company will respond to this shareholder feedback to ensure alignment between management and owners. Oh, and the research tools I actually use are linked in the description. They help keep this channel going. That is my take. Stay decoded. If you found this analysis helpful, remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and join our community on Discord.